Rare coin collecting. Discover real value and history in every coin.
This coin looks like junk. The kind of nickel you'd feel embarrassed handing to a cashier. Dark, dull, almost black in places. The surface is scratched, the edges are soft, the details are fading, and most people would toss it back into a jar without a second thought. Feels light. Feels wrong. And that's exactly why this ugly little coin can be worth over $12,000, even today, while still being found in circulation if you know what you're looking for. This is the 1945 D Jefferson nickel, and on the surface, it looks ordinary. Millions were made. It's small, unassuming, and overlooked every single day. But the year 1945 was anything but ordinary, and the chaos of that moment in history created one of the strangest and most misunderstood nickel varieties ever released into the public. By 1945, the United States was at the breaking point of World War II. The war was ending, but the pressure on American industry was still immense. Nickel, the metal, was critical for armor plating, weapons, and military equipment. The mint couldn't afford to use normal metal compositions anymore. Every ounce mattered. So, they did something radical. They changed the formula of the Jefferson nickel itself. That's why the 1945 D Jefferson nickel belongs to the famous wartime silver nickels. Instead of the normal copper-nickel blend, these coins were struck in an emergency alloy of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. It was a temporary experiment born out of desperation, not elegance. Production was rushed. Quality control was strained. Mistakes slipped through. Most people think the value comes from the big mint mark above Monticello. That oversized D on the reverse is what everyone talks about. You'll hear that wartime nickels are silver, so they must all be valuable. That's the misdirection. Yes, they contain silver. Yes, collectors like them. But most 1945 D Jefferson nickels are worth only a modest premium unless they're in exceptional condition. That's not where the real money is. The real rarity hides in mistakes that were never meant to exist. During the transition back toward normal production near the end of the war, planchets were being moved, stored, reused, and mixed under intense pressure. Some 1945 D Jefferson nickels were struck on the wrong metal entirely. A small number were accidentally struck on leftover pre-war copper-nickel planchets. Others show dramatic off-metal errors, improper alloy mixes, or wrong-weight planchets that don't match the wartime silver standard at all. Imagine the scene. A noisy Denver Mint floor, machines running non-stop, bins of blanks stacked everywhere. A few old planchets get scooped into the wrong hopper. No one notices. The press comes down. Jefferson's portrait is stamped into metal it was never meant to touch. The coin looks strange, darker or brighter than it should. It doesn't ring right, but it passes inspection because inspectors are watching for speed, not perfection. The coin drops into a bag, gets shipped, enters circulation, and disappears into America's pockets. No recall. No records. No second chance. That's why these coins are still being found. And here's the part most people miss. The damage actually helped them survive. Wear, scratches, corrosion, even discoloration hid the clues. Collectors ignored them for decades because they looked ugly. Too ugly to be special. But that ugliness was camouflage. You don't need to be an expert to start checking. First, weigh it. A normal wartime silver nickel weighs about 5.0 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier is a red flag. Look at the color. Wartime silver nickels often tone gray or dark, but wrong planchet pieces can look off in a way that's hard to explain, but easy to notice. Check the edge. Silver nickels don't show the same copper stripe as regular nickels. Use a magnet. These should not be magnetic. If something feels wrong, that's when it gets interesting. Collectors go crazy for these because they combine everything the market loves: a real historical moment, a metal shortage, a documented composition change, and a mistake that slipped through forever. Scarcity plus story plus accident equals demand. Certified wrong plancher or off-metal 1945 D Jefferson nickels have sold for $4,500, $12,000, and in extreme, well-documented cases, $38,000 or more. Condition changes everything. Authentication changes everything. One tiny detail can separate pocket change from life-changing money. And every year there are fewer. Wartime nickels were melted for silver. Others were damaged beyond recognition. Some are sitting forgotten in jars, drawers, and old collections. Circulation doesn't preserve rarity. It destroys it. That's why surviving mistakes grow more valuable with time. One warning you cannot ignore: never clean this coin. Not gently, not carefully, not at all. Cleaning strips away metal, alters surfaces, and instantly kills the evidence collectors need. This nickel looks terrible. Dark, almost greasy in color with soft details and a surface that feels tired and worn. The rim is uneven, the fields are scratched, and Jefferson's face looks flat and lifeless. Most people wouldn't even bother flipping it over. They'd assume it's worth 5 cents at best. But this ugly, ignored coin can be worth over $100,000. And yes, examples are still being found because no one expects a nickel like this to matter. This is the 1943 D Jefferson nickel, and it was born at one of the most chaotic moments in American minting history. World War II was raging, and the United States was desperate for metal. Nickel wasn't just money anymore. It was armor, weapons, and machinery. The Mint had to make a fast, risky decision, and that decision cracked the door open for one of the most valuable nickel mistakes ever to exist. In 1943, the normal copper-nickel alloy was officially abandoned. The Mint introduced the wartime silver nickel, a strange emergency blend of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't tested long-term. It was rushed into production under pressure. Denver was running flat out, striking coins day and night, trying to keep commerce alive while feeding the war machine. Most collectors think the story ends with the big mint mark above Monticello. That large D on the reverse is what everyone checks. They hear silver nickel and assume that's the jackpot. That's the misdirection. Almost all 1943 D Jefferson nickels are wartime silver and worth a small premium. That alone will not make you rich. The real value comes from a mistake that was never supposed to happen. A tiny number of 1943 D Jefferson nickels were struck on the wrong metal entirely. Instead of the emergency silver alloy, these coins were accidentally struck on leftover pre-1942 copper-nickel planchets. That means a 1943 coin that should be silver isn't. It weighs differently. It sounds different. It looks subtly wrong. And it should not exist at all. Picture the Denver Mint floor in 1943. Bins of old planchets still sitting around. New wartime blanks arriving constantly. Workers rushing, machines thundering, supervisors focused on volume, not anomalies. A handful of old copper-nickel blanks get fed into the presses by mistake. Jefferson's portrait slams into metal meant for a different era. No alarm goes off. The coin passes inspection because visually it looks normal. It drops into a bag, ships out, and disappears into circulation. There was no recall because no one knew the mistake had even happened. That's why these coins escaped history. And here's what makes it even harder. Where help them hide? Years of circulation darkened the surface, softened the edges, and erased the crisp clues that might have exposed them earlier. Collectors ignored them for decades because they didn't shine like silver. They looked wrong, so they were dismissed. You don't need advanced tools to start checking. First, test the magnet. A genuine wartime silver nickel is not magnetic, but weight matters even more. A silver wartime nickel weighs about 5.0 grams. A copper nickel planchet is lighter. If your 1943 D nickel is underweight, that's a serious red flag. Look at the color. Wartime silver nickels tone gray or dull silver. A copper nickel error will look more like a normal nickel, sometimes with a warmer hue. Check the edge. Silver nickels lack the sharp copper stripe seen on later coins. Collectors chase these because they combine everything that creates explosive demand: a wartime year, a known composition change, and a forbidden metal error. Verified examples have sold for $20,000, $50,000, and, in top condition certified cases, over $100,000. Condition changes everything. Authentication changes everything. A tiny difference in weight can separate pocket change from a six-figure coin. Every year, these get rarer. Wartime nickels were pulled from circulation and melted for silver. Others were damaged, lost, or misidentified forever. Errors don't survive circulation easily. Time is the enemy of rarity, and that's exactly why survivors become legends. One final warning that can't be overstated. Never clean this coin. Cleaning destroys surfaces, alters weight, and wipes out the evidence that proves the mistake. A cleaned coin can lose tens of thousands of dollars instantly. What looks dirty might be the very thing protecting its value. So the next time you see a worn, dark 1943 D Jefferson nickel that doesn't quite feel right, stop. That discomfort is history whispering, and this is only one example. There are other wartime mistakes still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to look twice.